What's up, everybody? This is episode 23 of the Pitside Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my good buddy Roger Craig. This week, we've got a really incredible, amazing interview with none other than Grady Chandler. You guys might know that we're doing a charity event in his honor here in the next couple of weeks. So he actually agreed to come on and do an interview with us, which we were really humbled to have him here. So if you stay tuned, we're going to get started here in just a second.
Welcome to the Pitside Podcast, where we discuss the latest news and developments in the GForce Racing League, as well as other racing news inside and out of iRacing. Now here's your hosts, the A-Lit Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, and Roger, the Bassman Craig.
Yeah, so we're back. We'll get started here with the interview in just a minute, but I think going into this, we didn't necessarily know how it was going to go, right? You know, how what we could talk about with Grady, and amazingly, he was an open book. You know, he just kind of talked to us about whatever questions we had, and had told us beforehand, don't hesitate to ask him anything. And,
bring it on.
Yeah, he really stepped up, and like he told us, you know, he's stepping out of his comfort zone, and we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, we should point out that it's the first time he's actually done an interview, so we're very privileged. But I had talked to his mom, about I didn't know how this would work, and interview them, and they said, nope, Grady wants to do this on his own, and I think it's a big step for Grady, one of many big steps he's made, and just nothing short of total inspiration. It's just I can't say enough. But before we go to the interview, I just want to make sure everyone. So we're doing this charity, the Racing for Grady 150, February 27th, 28th. You do not have to race to donate. So if you'd like to help out, you don't have to be a driver. This is one of the best causes we've ever done, for sure. And just go to GForceRL.com, and all the instructions are there, how to donate and how to sign up for the race if you want to. But the most important part is how to donate it. It's through GoFundMe, and we're working through the Steve King Foundation. So 100% of everything goes to Grady. So and the other thing we would really ask everybody to do is, after you've watched this interview, please share it out. Share it everywhere you can. Anything we can do for this great young man. He's totally inspiring, and can't say enough. I've really been humbled today just to chat with him, and that's anything to add, Preston, before we go to the interview.
Let's go talk to Grady now.
Yeah, what a great guy. Well, hello, everybody, and we're really excited this week. We got an awesome guest on, Grady Chandler, and we've been going through a few hoops here. I've had all sorts of technical problems on my end, and I'm ended up on my iPhone, so hopefully that's working okay. But as long as you can see Grady and Preston, I guess nobody really cares about me. But welcome to the show, Grady. We're really, really happy to have you on, bud.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate that.
So I know I was having technical problems. I've been gone for like 10 or 15 minutes, and these guys have probably covered all sorts of stuff and have all sorts of great material. Do you want to take this off, Preston, or I was going to go to your career, like from when you were a young guy, because I saw a bunch of pictures. I mean, you've been racing since you were like, I don't know, 1, 2?
Close. I started racing at 5 years old. My dad had raced through the 90s and in the 2000s he had a street stock, and he had a sprint car his last few years. Just a hobby racer, was a guy that would load up on Friday and then decide, if I don't go race this week, I don't have to do anything to the car, and I can just go to the lake. So then it's set in the trailer week, and he'd go to the lake. But obviously, I took that to a different level the second I got involved in it, and been doing it a while. This has definitely been the only time in my life I've ever been separated from the sport. So this is definitely a different outlook on things and a little bit of a struggle.
So what did the history of your career? What did you start with? And I know you got to midgets, but also saw a picture of you, I think, standing on the top of a sprint car. So tell us a little bit about how you got to the whole midget thing and that, or this, it wasn't midgets. I'm sorry. Yeah, midgets and wingless sprint and the wing sprint.
Yeah, I've got you. In Oklahoma, micro racing is huge. I mean, it's definitely next to sprint car. It's probably bigger than the sprint car scene, honestly. I mean, there's a ton of people and a ton of talent has come through there too. So I started out in a junior sprint at 5 years old, which is pretty much now. I mean, heck, they're $30,000 race cars, but back in my day, I sound like an old man. Pretty much glorified go-karts with shocks, bigger than a quarter midget, but, nothing special, mostly go-kart rear ends, Briggs and Stratton engines. Ran those for 3 years till I was 8. Actually won the Chili Bowl in 2000, not Chili Bowl, won the shootout in the winter of 2009. And
Wow.
That a man by the name of Darren Rustin through his work. He was selling trucks at the time, and Darren had a daughter named Kinsey, and she had a Bandolero car, which is, I guess, I don't know how to describe it, a mini NASCAR for kids, I guess would be the best way to describe it. We went down to started racing Texas Motor Speedway at 9 on the quarter mile and the 5th mile, and some road racing too, and really enjoyed that and managed to win the Winter Series down there, and started micro racing in 2010, also with Darren, and ran with Darren up till the end of 2012 in the restricted class. And then in 2013 was actually when Chris Bell had left the team in 2012 to go drive for Ferkel. Rick, that's the first time he ever drove a sprint car, and he goes and drives for Rick Ferkel. I mean, who does that? But he went up there, and I actually got the opportunity to drive his vacated Outlaw car. So at the time, I was 12 years old. I think I was in 5th or 6th grade. And we won the first night out in Chris's car, which was really special looking back on it. Had some success through 13 and 14 in that car. Me and the owner who took over from Darren Rustin by the name of Mark Lowe, we parted ways at the end of 14, and me and Dad I was running the family car through 15 in the micros, which was our non-wing stock car, but heck, we'd show up in micro racing, you can run 3 classes a night in the same car. You just, put wings on, put wings off. It ain't like a sprint car where everything, taking a wing sprint car and pulling wings off, you're probably not going to be very good, but in a micro, somehow you can get away with it. And we had a lot of success with our own. I think we won 3 out of the first 5 races out of that year. And I got hooked up with a gentleman by the name of Tommy Gray and Brandon Oldham. And I was driving, Brandon and Tommy's micros. And the first time I got to drive a midget was for a gentleman named Richard Harvey at Oklahoma City. And Richard had built Stinger chassis out of California for, 10, 15 years. And he had come home and his son wasn't available to drive the car that night. And the only way I ended up in his shop was because me and my old man had gotten in a fight the night before so bad about me complaining about a seat not fitting right that it was going to be a punishment. We were not racing and pulled the seat out and let's go get this welded up and yada. And then next thing you know, we're pushing a midget in the trailer and going to the racetrack. What was I? I'd have been 13 in 2014. So we went out and the first night ran 8th. And I was like, oh, heck, this is pretty cool. I got to drive midget. That's awesome. And we followed that up with my first podium the second night out and went on to win the next year my first midget race in Richard's car at 14 years old. And that's something I really, really hold special in my heart, because it was just us and him. And there's an interesting story to that. We get in that one another time. But, then I started driving for a gentleman by the name of Eric Fenton out of Tulsa in 16, because Richard and I, we were both footing the bill, and neither of us had enough money to do it, but, you were scraping to get by. And I started driving Eric's cars in 16. He had some very, very nice equipment on the Power West side, and from the outside, it seemed like a really, really good deal. But for us both, we spent 2.5 years at it, and it just never really materialized. I don't know if it was something I was doing wrong or who to blame, and there's no one to blame now, and there wasn't no one to blame at the time. But we spent 2.5 years together. We did manage to win the championship. Podium, I think it was 10, 11 times, and we only won one race. And I think looking back on it now, and I'm sure he'll feel the same way about it, it was, where was the missing piece of that puzzle? Why didn't we have success? Was it me? And I did a lot of soul searching after that. We had parted ways midway through 2018, and I was without a ride for a summer, and I went with Tucker Klasmeyer to Indiana and kind of found myself in Keith's shop taking body panels off. And then I was pushing a broom, and then I was mounting a tire. And then by the end of the week, heck, I was taking steering boxes out and running maintenance on cars. So kind of fell into a job there. And Keith and Pete, man, they treated me like gold. And I don't know that they necessarily taught me what to do, but I learned that I was pretty stupid because when you're raised your whole life and you don't really know anything else as far as, setups, you only know what you've been told. And then you get there and you start looking and, maybe sticking a tape measure some places you shouldn't necessarily be sticking it, and realizing, man, I'm really not that smart. Like I'm kind of stupid, maybe this is way different than what I've ever done. What's the problem? And, those guys taught me a ton, man, and ended up at the end of that summer getting hooked up with a gentleman by the name of Dave Moss, actually from Oklahoma City as well, so it was perfect down the road. Dave Moss and Blaine Long. And I should have won the first night out in their midget. And we blew up. I mean, I started like 18th, was leading the race, blew up. And Dave decided he wanted to go sprint car racing, and we managed to win our 7th night out against NCRA at 81 Speedway, which had, Don Droud, Zach Chappell. He was a former ASCS national champion. Danny Jennings, plenty of Sooner titles, plenty of State Fair Speedway titles, and I was really proud of that. And then less than a month later, I was driving Kevin Barksdale's non-wing sprint car at a USAC Oklahoma race, and that's where I got hurt.
So, do you remember that accident at all, or?
Unfortunately, I remember all of it. It took me I remember it happening, and then obviously in the hospital, I remember being, pretty confused of why I was there. But now, I can piece everything together and know exactly what happened. So, yeah, I remember all of it.
Now, we talked earlier about you were comfortable talking about, post accident and what you've been through.
I can't. Like I said, I'd show up naked at Walmart at this point.
No, we don't want you to do that.
That either.
So it's been a tough go, but you've overcome some major obstacles right off the bat. Like my understanding is they didn't ever think you'd even breathe on your own.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to not only survive the impact of it, but with where my injury was, there was a chance of, not being able to breathe on my own. Which, if that would have happened, I wouldn't have survived it due to the fact of, just in someone with that severe of a neck injury, when they can't breathe on their own, if they don't have someone there that can intubate them and open up their airway within, 5-10 minutes, you're going to suffocate. And my breathing got very, very, very restricted, but I managed to at least wheeze my way by, and that, that saved my life.
That's awesome. And I think my understanding is too that they they didn't think you'd have any like arm movement or anything. And from what I've seen, you're doing a remarkable job. And I know it's a long road, but totally impressed with even setting up this session here. That you're managing to do. I know your mom had said something about you can do voice commands with the phone, which is cool. But you're actually getting some motor control there, and controlling the camera.
Back and working, not full function, but they're there. And really, the only time I do voice control is if I'm laying down and have my arms tucked up under me on the phone. Like I said, I could hunt and peck with the back of my pinky. But where I'm hurt at, when the surgeon comes out and tells your parents that you're never going to breathe on your own and you're paralyzed from the neck down, there's not a lot to really work there with. I can only. It was hard from a first person perspective going through all that, and I'm sure it was harder for them than it was me at the same time.
So I know you moved to Atlanta for a while, and then I think COVID shut that facility down. Is that what happened there?
Have you ever been to Atlanta?
I've been through Atlanta on my way to Florida. That's it.
Best use for Atlanta you can do is driving through it. That is the my life. And I wholeheartedly mean that. I would rather get dropped off in East St. Louis than Atlanta. Got there, and at the time, man, when they shipped me off from Oklahoma to Atlanta for the, quote unquote rehab facility, I still only weighed, 85 pounds, which was half my body weight. I weighed 160 pounds sopping wet as a healthy person. I'd lost half my weight sitting in the hospital that long, and I was still so sick, and had to have another surgery when I got there, and nearly got put back on the vent and pretty much started back from square one. So
wow.
I can't necessarily blame the people as much as a victim of my own circumstances, but still, that place, it's always going to stay in the memory of me. I'm never stopping in Atlanta again.
Okay. So moving on from there. So now you're in Miami, and it sounds like things are a lot better there.
Absolutely. One, if you're going to be screwed up and have to go through this, you might as well have something to look at. And there's plenty to look at here. So that's a plus side. We've actually become very, very good friends with a gentleman by the name of Daryl Gwynn. He got hurt in an NCRA Top Fuel Dragster in 1990. And he's a huge donor, and he has his own foundation through the Miami Project. And believe it or not, full circle, even when he was healthy, he was still raising money for the Miami Project to cure paralysis. And then, the guy that was raising the money, sure enough, ends up in the spot where he needs some of it back.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
through him, we got through the door and currently enrolled in study there, and seeing where it takes us.
So that's awesome. So things are progressing well now where you are, and you're getting the therapy you need.
Yeah, every day, I think it's just my mentality. You lay in bed at night thinking, am I doing enough? And that's a question I've always had in my head. I think most hardworking people will agree. Lazy people don't worry about if they're being lazy. Only hardworking people worry if they're doing enough. And I can honestly say me and my family are doing enough, and we wouldn't be able to do it without support from you guys and, the generosity of the racing community. You guys rallied around me like, I don't know how to describe it, and I can't explain it. I'll be forever grateful for that. And regardless of my outcome or however this ends up, I can promise you there will be something good that comes out of this, whether it be a foundation or somehow that I could use, some of the support I've had and continue growing to help someone else maybe get a chance to come down to Miami and attend some therapy for a few months or something, because I've met tons and tons and tons of young people just like me that are going through the same injury, and it's just their family. They don't have the support.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to do this without the support.
No,
So,
the racing community is amazing, and I know Preston and I were talking. We were watching the Chili Bowl, and all the people with the "Do It for Grady" masks. So I think they sold out, and they ran out of masks at the Chili Bowl, from what I saw.
so I've been told, man, and seeing that, it brightens up your day, knowing people care. And even with all the support, though, I'll tell you, you feel like a grain of sand blowing through the universe. But then you have to know that the other people that don't have that probably feel like the atom in the sand. So in some way, like I said, regardless of my outcome, I have to use this for good and give back to other people that are in need.
No, that's you're truly inspiring to talk to, buddy, and I think you're heading on down an unbelievable path here of just doing maybe more in the situation now than you could have done in the past, because you're inspiring me just listening to you. So good on you, buddy. I know it's not easy. I can't even imagine, but full credit, man. You got the right attitude, and that's awesome. I got a couple of things I wanted to mention. I haven't even let Preston talk, but I will. But there's a guy named Brendan Lacey is in our league, in our iRacing league, and I don't know if you know that name. So he's from Oklahoma. We have afternoon races now, and it's usually just the old guys, but Brendan's a young guy, and he showed up in there, and he made a comment. He was really appreciative of what we're doing, because he knows all sorts of people that have as your mom calls, circled the wagons and helping you out, and he wanted to make sure that he gave you a big shout out. Is a real big deal for not only him, but for a lot of us. Another one you might know that's in our league is Kenny Kulsh. I don't know if you know that name, but the Kelch. Just there I go. Yeah, Kelch. So we got straightened out by his son last week. So him and his son both race in our league, but Kenny plays the bugle at the Chili Bowl and the Tulsa Shootout. So I don't know if you.
Forever.
What was that? Sorry.
Racing micros, and he's got his dyno service now with the injection and all that.
Yeah, so they're in our league. So there's a lot of guys in the league that have a connection with you somehow. I noticed on your Facebook page, you're friends with Dylan Westbrook, who is one of my younger heroes. And I don't know if you know Dylan or it's just through Facebook, but he's a cool dude.
Personally met Dylan, I want to say probably 2 to 3 times, running with the few shows I got to run with ASCS through the last year before I got hurt. More so acquaintances, just rolling down the road. I can't really tell you that I knew him, but I know he's been chasing the ASCS still for a while now, and he's won quite a few races, and he's doing really good.
Yeah, he's been doing great, and just a great kid, great family that he comes from. But no, that's all cool. And when I came back into this after all my technical problems, it almost sounded. I got to call you out, buddy. It almost sounded like you were trashing iRacing. You're on an R Factor thing or something. So I don't know. I kind of came in the tail end, but maybe you can take over, Preston, and explain what's going on here.
Well, by no means would I bash iRacing in any way, and like I said, it's a big old glass of nostalgia for me, being an 11-year-old kid and literally doing nothing but racing on R Factor all day, every day after school. And me and Jason McDougall we'd run a league race on whatever Wednesday night it would be, and then we would stay up late enough. Of course, we both got to go to school in the morning, and we'd stay up late enough to run the Australian League. By the time that got done, you had enough time to get in the shower and then, run off to school and, grade whatever I was in. But, big old glass of nostalgia. And I never really got to get involved in the iRacing scene as much as I would have liked, just for the fact that I had the absolute bottom of the barrel internet service at my house. Actually, a week before I got hurt, Cox ran a line through our neighborhood, and I splurged out, and I said, I want Gigablast. I want the fast. I've put up with this for 10 years. I want the best internet I can have. And I got to enjoy it for like 4 days, so.
My question always is your greatest memory. What was your greatest moment that you remember as a highlight?
As far as greatest moments, they probably wouldn't even be in a race car as far as, most fun just hanging out with buddies or doing something like that. But as far as great moments in a race car, I would have to say I won the C on Saturday at the Chili Bowl on TV, and that was in 2019. And I'd come off a real rough year in 2018. I'd lost my ride about a quarter of the way through the year. I went and worked with Keith. I didn't have anything going. Had just hooked up with David Moss and Blaine Long, and was kind of dabbling in some sprint car stuff. But I'd been at the racetrack, I want to say 75 times that year, and I only got to race like 10 or 12 shows because I didn't have anything going. I was just working and learning. So to bounce back from that, and I was driving for Dean Alexander and Randy Timms at the Chili Bowl, and those guys, I think it was more the don't crack under pressure, because I had to hear them both all week talk about, oh, this is your one chance, don't blow it, both of them. And and I was the whole time I'm like, I got this. You ain't got to tell me that. And you keep hearing over and over. You're like, okay, why would you want to? We're on the same team here. Why are you trying to psych me out? What's the deal? But won the C from 5th and was up into a transfer spot, and I got hooked up with Dylan Welch, and then had to go to the back, and then came back up through the field, was in a transfer spot, and then like 3rd from 9th, all piled up on the cushion and crashed. So, the guys that were rolling around the bottom in 11th ended up getting in the show, and all of us had to go home. But that's probably, as far as in the car, the most proud moment.
Well, I would say so. That's that and getting in Chris Bell's car and running it as good as he did. That's another one to be pretty proud of too, boy. That's amazing.
I say, I'm not going to say I consistently do it as well as he did, but first night out, that felt pretty good.
Just stick with that one then, buddy. That's the one to do. You thought that Terry Landis had run with Grady in R Factor?
Everyone hated me. At that time, you had the group of teenagers, and then you had the grown guys, and you had the really old guys. And then
what you're saying.
Then you had me on there at 12 years old with a squeaky voice, and sometimes in the way, sometimes maybe taking too much when I shouldn't have, and I hate to say it, but I grew up a lot on there of just getting the crap talked down to you. At 12 years old, having to hang out. You gotta wise up and grow up quick to be able to hang out with them. So it did me some good though. I'm glad it happened.
I'm sure the same thing happened. Like you said, it rubs off on you, and it helps you mature. I think when you're running with with a more mature crowd, I guess you would say at the time.
Yeah.
So
and I'll hate to tell you, going back to the sim racing deal, I absolutely hated Chase Briscoe for like years over R Factor, because one time I had a pop-up pull up on my computer, and like I crashed him or something at Angel Park, the start of the race. Like I can still see it. Like that's how this remembers. And I remember him writing something all smart. Of course, at the time he was a kid, and I always thought he disliked me because of that, and I always disliked him. And then 2019 Chili Bowl, it was like I want to say it was me, him, Chris, or somebody, and we're just sitting there talking. I was like, "So you there's no beef?" Because like I've been holding a grudge since I was 11 over you getting on the internet one time. And he's like, "No, come on, I don't even remember that," But as an 11-year-old kid, that stuff stuck with me. I was like, "Oh, screw that guy," Always hated.
So we got the races we're doing, the racing for Grady 150. So it's basically sportsmen, like the dirt modifieds. Have you ever had anything to do with them at all?
Yeah. The closest thing to that in Oklahoma would be those absolutely dreadful MIDI modifieds they have at the shootout. All due respect to them, but they put off the worst sound of any race car ever. Can't stand them. But no, I never got to drive anything on dirt with fenders on it.
So will you be watching when we on the Sunday night when we do the big race?
I will tune in. I've been really, at a crossroads. This is probably the first time I've talked to anyone outside my, immediate circle in nearly a year. I've been at crossroads where it's, screw it if I can't be a part of it. I'm not going to get left out and not be around it. But then, you find yourself thinking about it and wanting to be a part of it still. And it's, this is definitely getting out of my comfort zone, and I'm glad I'm doing it. So I will be tuning in, and I can't thank you guys enough for, choosing to support me with the race. And I mean, that's awesome. Like I said, the generosity of people like you guys in the race community, without it, I couldn't be here. And once again, I promise, regardless of my outcome, to do something with that support for the better.
That's incredibly mature words and inspiring words coming from you. I can't say enough about that. And something that's been unmentioned in this interview is the Steve King Foundation. I mean, we were working through the Steve King Foundation, and I can't say enough about them. And I'm not sure how much you work with them or you're tied in with them, but I know they do tremendous work for a lot of injured race car drivers, dirt drivers specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe they contacted my parents, I want to say within the first 7 days, and helped us out. At that time, really the first, 3-4 months of this, it was in limbo whether if I was going to make it or not, due to the fact of, all the complications I had while in the hospital. I came in with a broke neck, and somehow they managed to, do some other stuff. It's like paying somebody to put a roof on your house, and you get home and all the plumbing's in the yard. I don't know how that happened, but it did. But no, they were one of the first people to reach out with us, and I'm, forever grateful for that.
Yeah, they've been nothing but a class organization. We've worked with them in the past, and really that was the first time I know, just going through the Steve King Foundation, that I became aware of you. And so yeah, they certainly have a great role that they play, and we want to make sure we give them a shout out here too as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just being a part of the racing community. Even when someone else was going through stuff at the racetrack, I remember carrying helmets at the last show I got to run for Don Swoop when he was, going through his battle with cancer. And I guarantee it, I made at least, 5-6 helmets full. It just kept going back and going back and going back. And, regardless of rivals or not, everyone, when someone was in need in the racing community, everyone pitched in, including me and my family. And that's something that has came back to us in, a million different ways. And not that we ever wanted it to come back or, we're asking for it. That's just how the racing community works. We're all families today, regardless if it's, racing on a computer or a sprint car or, Red Bull Air Race. It's all the same stuff, and we're all going to help each other.
Yep. Can't close this out any better. And talking about, going out of your comfort zone, we should point out this was originally going to be a phone interview. And so I appreciate you're really stepping out of your comfort zone here, buddy. And it's just, you're amazing. And let me tell you, buddy, you're inspiring, and can't say enough about that. So we'll keep in touch, and let's see, what's next for Grady Chandler down the road here. I can see some big things. Just from your attitude, it's just awesome, and so impressed. And we're very privileged to have you on here. So I just want to thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. And I feel like there's one more thing we have to discuss, just as to get it out there. As far as sprint car and safety in general of racing. I've replayed the event of what has happened to me, and, what could we have done different? It's kind of like my situation was very, very similar to Kevin Swindell's, in the fact of, instead of landing flat on rails down, I landed flat on rails up and hit the cage. And, the roll cage didn't give way. I was in a full containment seat. The car had a halo. I always wore, neck restraint, everything updated. and what happened to my situation. And like I said, I'm only saying this because, someone listening could learn from it, and, it helps somebody. I ended up actually landing on top of the berm. Like, they have a berm at Chili Bowl. And I landed on top of that, and it pretty much was like landing on top of a wall, except it didn't collapse the cage on me. It collapsed the berm. And, it came in the car, and that's what got me. We replay. It's almost like racing in general is kind of like showing up to a boxing match, and you're wearing a helmet, and you got your gloves, and you go to fight the guy, and he kicks you in the balls. What the heck just happened? How did that happen? So I wish there was more of a review in racing, almost like there is in aviation. That's something that the FIA, I know you'd mentioned being a huge Formula One fan. Anytime an event happens that's, someone gets hurt or, fatal or whatever, it's reviewed. And in sprint car racing, I don't really feel like that's something that nobody likes change, regardless. Guys used to gripe when they first started making them run roll cages. Oh my gosh, and hopefully one day we'll be able to, maybe learn from my situation and better the sport as well.
Great words, buddy. Appreciate everything you're doing here, and I'm sure your mom and dad are really proud right now because you're just doing a great job here. And I just wish you all the best. And like you say, you might as well be down in Miami and enjoying that warmth and all the good views that you got than being up north where even Preston in Virginia is getting snow, so and cold. So you're in a good place there.
I was talking to my therapist today, and her kid plays ice hockey at home, and it's actually frozen enough that someone built an ice hockey ring in their yard. Like, it's never been that cold in Oklahoma. It's never been in the negatives in my life, and I think it was down to, negative 12 or 14 or something this weekend. So I get homesick, but I'll tell you, I wake up here and it's sunny and 85. I'm really not that homesick right now.
No. Well,
let's start over.
I think I think we're just both speechless. Don't really know what to say. It's Grady is just an amazing guy. That's he's been through so much, but his outlook, and I know there's good days and bad days, and but his overall attitude is just amazing. It's humbling, and I guess I don't need to even go on about it because you've all seen the interview at this point, and it just what an amazing guy, and I'm privileged to be able to call him a friend. After that interview, he's just totally inspiring. I'm at a loss for words, Preston.
Yeah. So like Roger said prior to it, if you're interested in making a donation, and I can't imagine after hearing him talk you wouldn't be. The easiest way to find it, you can search for it on GoFundMe, however you want to do it, is to go to GForceRL.com. There's a pop-up. It's the first one that pops up. If you click the link that's there, it'll take you to a place where you can go to GoFundMe and make a donation and register for the race if you're going to race with us. So please, like Roger said, share this out. We want to do as much as we can. You heard Grady talk about how he's going to make it count, right? So he's going to do something and make things better for other people too. And Roger's gotten there, but it's humbling to hear somebody who's been through what he's been through talk about making other people's lives better. And it really speaks to kind of where we come from when we do stuff like this. But we obviously live pretty privileged lives. And so whatever we can do to help Grady, we want to do. Please consider making a donation at a minimum, and come out and race with us. And then if you're not going to race, make sure you tune in for the race. I don't remember the exact dates, but I know it's a couple of weeks here. So
February 27th, 28th, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock each night. There's qualifiers 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock on the Saturday, and then there's a last chance qualifier on Sunday. we'll also have a pill draw for the starting 8 positions on the podcast. They're following the podcast on Sunday, and then the championship race 9:00 on Sunday night. So join us and help us support this fine young man and his family.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and sign off. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Again, share this out. Make sure everybody gets to hear from Grady. And we appreciate you watching and look forward to seeing you out on the track.
Take care, everybody.